in the playoffs that year, and I find this very instructive. So if you remember, he got hurt in the Bills game. He got hurt like immediately.
Mm-hmm.
Take that game out. Against the Dolphins, he played 100% of the snaps in that game.
Wow.
Against the Ravens, he played 93%. And in the Super Bowl, he played 97%. When the chips were down, Spags was like, get out there.
Yeah.
Okay. And by the way, in the playoffs last year for Tampa, he played 82% of the snaps defensively. When the Chiefs were in the games that mattered the most, they were like, hey, Mike, get out there.
It's that football show here on KC Sports Network. Happy Saturday. It's Tucker Franklin hanging out as always with Matt Verderame. Thank you to our sponsors, Ben Holiday, Bald and Bond Bourbon, repping them on the cap today. Real company man here. Corporate Tuck checking into the chat on a Saturday. Matt, how you doing? How you been since we last talked on Wednesday?
I mean, it's Friday, so it's not been that long. I'm fine.
That's very true. Yeah, I think I texted you on Thursday too. So like, I think.
Yeah, we're pretty caught up. My daughter turned 3 on Wednesday. That was good.
Yeah,
And then we're going to I don't know, what is she? My wife's my wife's second cousin's birthday, who's like turning whatever the hell, I don't know, 5. So we're doing that tonight. I'm just getting some cake out of this deal.
Yep.
And then tomorrow we're having Genevieve's big, like, everybody comes over for the birthday party thing.
Yeah.
So last night, actually, anyone who's a kid can appreciate this. Genevieve's up in her crib, and she's just making a complete ruckus, which is nothing new. That kid is happy to be in her crib, but she'll sit there for 2 hours and just screw around with all the like stuffed animals she has in there, right? So it's like 9 o'clock. I'm like, you got to go to sleep now, right? This is ridiculous. Right. So I walk in, there she is, sitting up, just having a great time. She's got all her stuffed animals lined up on one end of the crib. She's like, hey, it's still my birthday. I'm having a birthday party. I was like, it's not really your birthday. Your birthday was yesterday. She's like, it's still my birthday. Like, all right.
Fair enough.
So she's like, I still get cake? I'm like, yeah, 2 days from now, you get cake. Like, I get ice cream? I'm like, yeah, 2 days. I get presents? Yeah. She's like, do you get presents? No. Like, I get presents. Yeah. Okay, good night.
Yeah.
She just kicked me out, man. All right. Who the hell knows when she went to bed? I don't know. As far as I know, she could have went outside and smoked a cigarette. I was like, all right, honey, you do what you got to do. Daddy's going to go record a podcast now. I mean, I'm not a good father. But in any event, yeah, it's not great.
She has her priorities incredibly straight, though. I will say she's worried about cake, ice cream, and presents. Like, those are the things the kids need to be worried about. Not about like the Fortnite movie or the Minecraft movie or anything like that. So I do appreciate that.
I will say my wife is an excellent mother. I am a lousy father, although I try to be a decent father. But I think I don't know. It's a generational thing, I think. Look, I was spawned by people who. My father, when I was about 6 years old, he used to have. I mean, he still has a lot of gardens in his property, but he used to have a ton of them. And so he's like, weed this garden, and here's a little pick, and do that. And so I'm outside, 6 years old, and going to town. And all of a sudden, I feel this really sharp pain in my hands. I'm like, man, what? And he's like, just be a man and get back in there. So I'm doing it. I'm like, oh my God, it hurts. Well, you know what happened? I dug into a yellow jacket's nest, and my father, as a 6-year-old, was like, just get in there. And so, like, then I have to realize I'm being stung to death. He's like, all right, never mind. Just go inside and tell your mother, put some ice on it.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I mean, so that's, listen, we're trying to push it and make some progress here.
Right.
But, I mean, I'm still who I am. I got the 3-year-old now. I got a 7.5-year-old in Maisie, who I feel like most people who know me are familiar with her. She'll pop into a podcast here and there.
Yeah.
But, like, I picked her up from school, I don't know, a month ago on a Friday. And she comes bounding out of the school, and the gym teacher's like, oh, Maisie, have a nice weekend. She turns around and goes, oh, I'm gonna, Mr. So-and-so. This place is trash. And then just runs away. That's good, honey. Real good. That's awesome. Just, that's right. That's my first grader telling the teacher that the school is, quote, trash, and just running away. So, times are good.
Apple didn't fall far, I don't feel like, in that situation.
No. That is definitely a Verderame word. I
Yeah.
had to call
Yeah.
my parents' house one time and complain that I called her class trash, but I was like a senior, so I was a little bit older. Um,
Starting them young, getting them ready young.
the kid is a maniac. Like my oldest one is a complete psycho. She ran out like God. We were I'm trying to think what she was in. She was 5. She was in preschool because she just missed the cutoff. And she was at a Catholic, like, private school for pre-K, not because I'm hoity-toity or any of that shit, but because it was the only damn full-length preschool in town, and so, yeah, I had to pay for it. It's ridiculous. But in any event, so she comes running out. All these moms are there to pick up the kids. They're all dressed really nice. I'm dressed like a hobo. Like, I could care less, right?
Right.
So, Maisie comes running out, and it's nice out. It's probably like May. She just goes, hey, clown, I'm going to play on the playground, and just runs away from me. And all these mothers are like, oh my God. Like, they were all just horrified that she called me a clown. I thought it was hilarious.
Yeah. Right.
Like, you've got to get on top of that. You can't let her talk to you like that. It's like, the fuck out of here. Like, you know what? This is why your kid's going to have a complex when they're 16.
It's a great
This is
point.
why, because they can't have any fun because mom and dad are so worried about appearances. You know what? My kids may
Yeah.
have their issues. I'll tell you right now. It's not going to be a lack of confidence or worrying about whether or not, like, oh God, can I say that? Listen, if you feel that way, say it. Don't worry about it. That person's going to get over it. They'll be all right. Don't
Yeah.
be disrespectful or a jerk, but
Yeah.
listen, say whatever you feel. People think you're funny. It's fine. It's a good way to get through life.
That's very true. And that's that parenting show here on That Football Show, the new segment that we're going to be introducing probably during the off season.
What do you
Yeah.
want?
Yeah, come on now. Speaking of it being April, the Chiefs signed Mike Edwards. He's back on the team.
Back in action.
Look, we usually do the breaking news team episodes when these signings hit, and I had sent that signing. I believe Tom Pelissero is the one who broke the news, and that was one I had to like double check and double read, right? Because I didn't know if it was like former Chiefs safety is signing with somebody else, because sometimes they throw that in there, and I usually just like will skim the notification to see if it's relevant to me. If it says Chiefs in there, I kind of need to lock in. And then I actually had to go and read it because it did say Chiefs, and I was like, oh. Mike Edwards is coming back. That's neat. Sent it to the group message for the breaking news team. I got no responses. Nobody wanted to go breaking news team for Mike Edwards. Poor Mike Edwards doesn't get his own breaking news team. But I guess I just want to know your thoughts, Matt, on Mike Edwards returning to the Kansas City Chiefs.
I actually think it's a really good sign. Like, genuinely.
Yeah.
And look, I was the guy who, like, at some points this offseason, I'm like, it's fine, whatever. I'm not trying to make this out. Like, I think them bringing back Mike Edwards is like Eric Berry coming back in his prime. Okay. Like, I'm not, he's going to be 29 this year, which is fine. But if you had to guess, how many snaps, like percentage wise, do you think he played in the year he was in Kansas City on defense? What do you think his snap percentage was?
Oh gosh, he played. I felt like he played a decent amount. I'll say like 27.
He played. Double check this. 57%.
Wow, that's a lot more than I thought for a safety. A third safety.
57% of snaps.
Wow.
And then the Bills, who had no safeties at all last year, were just atrocious on the back end all year long. The guy played 7 snaps for the Bills defensively, and then went to the Buccaneers for 5 games and played 61% of the snaps in those 5 games. Like, he's a good player. Yeah. I don't know what the hell happened in Buffalo. I mean, look, Buffalo also was like, yeah, Taylor Rapp, play him more often. Right. But I mean, Mike Edwards is pretty good. Like, in his career, he's most of the time been a starter. He also, by the way, when he was on the Chiefs, played 28% of their special team snaps. So he does play some special teams too.
Ooh.
But I like it for a few reasons. First of all, he can play. He can play in their system. He was good. It's not like he's over the hill. His age is fine. He gives them that veteran experience. Like if he's not quite ready, or you got, and I don't think it's gonna be the case. He looks pretty good. But now you have him and Cook and Hicks. So you have those 3. I also think it makes your cornerback room stronger because now Connor's probably more of a corner. So not that you're like, oh great, Chamari Connor, like corner snaps, but he's a better 4th corner than Najee Johnson. So that becomes less of a need, right? And he can play the slot, which Johnson and Williams can't do. So you have a backup there. I like the signing. I really do. I think
Yeah.
it's meaningful. I don't just look at it and go, it's fine, whatever. I actually think it's a pretty meaningful signing. Like it strengthens two rooms at once. And he's a guy that Spags trusted to play a lot, man. Like when he was in Kansas City, 57% of those snaps. It's a lot of snaps. Like that's not nothing.
Yeah.
And by the way, in the playoffs that year, and I find this very instructive. So if you remember, he got hurt in the Bills game. He got hurt like immediately.
Mm-hmm.
Take that game out. Against the Dolphins, he played 100% of the snaps in that game.
Wow.
Okay. Against the Ravens, he played 93%. And in the Super Bowl, he played 97%. When the chips were down, Spags was like, get out there.
Yeah.
Okay. And by the way, in the playoffs last year for Tampa, he played 82% of the snaps defensively. When the Chiefs were in the games that mattered the most, they were like, hey, Mike, get out there. And now, look, I get it. Cook was hurt. I understand that. So he got elevated in that role. I get all
That's
that.
true. Yeah.
But they also had Jamari Connor, who was playing really well at safety at the end of the year. And they still were like, Mike Edwards is playing. Snap in, snap out. But that's kind of the point, right? Like they had an injury and Mike Edwards came in and played really well for him. And if you're getting that kind of vet minimum deal, you can't beat that. That's great. So that's a really nice signing to elevate both portions of the secondary.
I think it's one of these signings too, that does eliminate maybe a safety early in the draft, right? I do think that people are kind of tossing around safety, not necessarily first round, but certainly early in day 2 and maybe day 3. It does shore up I think this is only a 1-year deal though too.
Yeah.
So I don't think it alleviates the immediate need for safety. I really liked Mike Edwards. I wish they would have brought him back. I think Buffalo just probably gave him a little bit more money than what Kansas City was probably offering him at the time. If I had to speculate, I obviously don't have any inside information in that department. But Mike Edwards also a ball hawk. That dude gets turnovers, and that is something that the Chiefs have struggled with defensively for kind of a few years outside. Well, last year they didn't really turn the ball over all that much. The year that Mike Edwards was there, they did. The numbers are there. I like Mike Edwards for that fact of the fact that he just has a nose for the football. He can find the football. They can turn the ball over, get the ball to the offense a little bit more, and then he does add that veteran presence as well onto that secondary that does kind of need it. When you talk about Jaden Hicks being that safety 2, if Mike Edwards is your safety 3, you feel a little bit more better about that than probably like Deion Bush. Like you probably feel a little bit better about Mike Edwards. Yes.
I just think, a guy like Edwards, what is the downside of that signing?
No, there's none.
There's none. It's
not the money.
I haven't seen them. I'm sure it's vet minimum. Like you're not paying any money. Who cares? Like the guy can come in and has proven he can play on a Super Bowl winning team as a starter and be a plus player. Like I can't remember one game in that season where I was like, man, Mike Edwards just killing him. Mike Edwards was good. He played well for them. And so to me, a guy like that, I'm fine with that guy being on the team. That he was a good player for them. He was a helpful player. And when Brian Cook got hurt, that could have been a real meaningful injury. And I'm not saying it wasn't meaningful. He's a good player, but it could have really been a catastrophe. They could have been like, oh my God, we're screwed now at that position. And by the way, just to put a ball in, so Cook that year got hurt in week 13 against Green Bay. I was at that game. I remember that game. The snap counts for Edwards before that game, 23%, 31, 41, 44, 54, 40, 49, 68, 46, 52, 38. So it wasn't like he wasn't playing before Cook got hurt.
He was going up before he got there.
Still playing a lot of ball. And by the way, he was playing about 50% of the special team snaps, and then that happened, and he didn't play one the rest of the year. Okay, but they went to him then as a starter 97%, 100%.
Yeah.
But the point is, it wasn't as though they were like, oh, he's a break glass in case of emergency. He was playing a lot before Brian Cook got hurt. So, no, I think it's a really nice move. And I also think he can help Jaden Hicks, get up to speed and all the rest of it. Hey, second year in the defense, all that. Well, Edwards just played a lot of football in his career. So, no, I'm a big fan of that move.
It does make me laugh that the Buffalo Bills couldn't figure out how to use him and
There's no ability to figure it out. Like
Yeah,
trotting out
like
Cole Bishop and DeMar Hamlin and just watching them get roasted game in and game out. Like, we don't know what to do. And then they cut him.
right. Yeah.
It
I don't know.
immediately starts for the Bucks, who went right to the playoffs. Like, okay, that's great.
Yeah, baffling again by Buffalo why they couldn't figure out how to use him. But glad he's back in Kansas City. The Chiefs also made another signing on Friday. Janaris Robinson, I'm sure probably haven't heard of him because I had to look him up when we did. I believe his draft was in 2021.
If we're going deep on this one, I got to tell you, we got a problem. You're going to have to carry the team.
Yeah, Janaris Robinson, 6'5", 260, 35 and a quarter in charge, Florida State. Fourth year in the NFL in this one. This is usually so. My favorite segment that I do on the breaking news team is like, ooh, I don't really know this guy. I guess I'm just gonna read his whole Wikipedia page. And maybe that's something we need to start doing in the offseason is we just do a Wikipedia deep dive where I went down a Wikipedia wormhole of Bluefield State University in West Virginia. Very interesting college, by the way. They just brought back football in 2021, so I was doing a deep dive into that. And then they just brought back living on campus as well. But I do think that it is very fun to do a little Wikipedia deep dive into some of these. But he was playing for the Raiders, was drafted in 2021, the 4th round, 134th overall pick out of Florida State, as I mentioned, by the Minnesota Vikings. He got injured his rookie season and then was waived the next year in August. He was going to claim by the Eagles off the Vikings practice squad. He got hurt again. And then he was waived in 2023, signed by the Raiders on the practice squad, was on the active roster once, had some legal issues in 2024, was arrested on suspicion of a DUI after hitting a woman outside of the Aria in Las Vegas. But now he's a Kansas City Chief.
Of course. The Chiefs are magnets for like these guys with like off-field issues. They just bring them in, and I don't know. I mean, I guess my question is like, why?
Yeah,
like what? And look, I'm not trying to judge everybody off their worst moment in life, but like when your worst moment is allegedly that, I'm kind of good. If your worst moment is like you punched a guy at a club, like all right, I've seen people who I know are good people just get really annoyed at some dude at a nightclub and deck him. Like, all right,
yeah,
didn't happen. If you're alleged to do what that guy's alleged to have done, I don't need to sign you.
Yeah,
I'm just saying, and I'm big on like second chances and all that, but there are certain things I'm just kind of out on you. Just damn, like I feel like the Chiefs are just never out on those people. Like, yeah, maybe. Like, why? It's just the second you said there are legal issues, I was like, oh, all right, well,
Drax, yeah,
here we go.
The only thing you're missing is a former first-round pick, right? Like that would be
that would have really been the double there. Yeah,
you'd be like, oh, that makes sense. Former first-round pick with legal issues, it didn't fully get everything figured out, and got hurt all the time. Oh yeah, that makes sense. That's a perfect Chief signing. He didn't get hurt all the time. Was a 4th-round pick. Apparently, I'm looking at his measurements here. Very spagsy in terms of everything. He's 6'5". 263, a little lighter than what Spags like, but he's got the vines on the 35 and a quarter inch arms as well. So he's pretty spagsy. They're just signing him purely off of traits. There is kind of what the deal is. And they're saying, maybe I can fix him. They're that girl that always thinks that they can fix the troubled guys. It's literally what the Chiefs are. Like they've done this since 2013 at least. They've just been signing people that they think that they can fix. And like Damon Arnett got 2 gun charges in the span of probably 48 hours and was on the Chiefs practice squad for 15 minutes before he got arrested again.
Like, let me show you exactly who I am. I don't want there to be any false pretense. No, the Chiefs are. The Chiefs are that girl you knew who were like in high school. They were like a sophomore dating a senior.
Yep.
And the guy was just going absolutely nowhere. And she was like,
total loser.
Yeah, just one of those guys who's sitting outside the building smoking all the time.
Right.
Was like had a car that in theory was really cool, like a Camaro, but it was from like 1992. And the shit was beat to hell. But he
Right.
had a Camaro and he smoked and he got a tattoo and it was like, oh, I know that A, B, C, D, and E are wrong with him, but I'll fix him. It's like, I gotta tell you, you're not gonna fix him. You know why? Because he doesn't want to be fixed. That's
Right.
why.
Right.
Like the amount I knew a girl in college who was a real good friend of mine, and she dated this one guy. God, must have been for like maybe a semester, so like 4 or 5 months. This guy was the worst. This guy, I might air him out by full name. This guy was the absolute
Get
worst.
his
Like the
address.
kind of a dude. So I went to Oswego, SUNY Oswego. Shout out to the Lakers in New York.
Shout
And
out.
so
Trevor.
this guy did not go to that school. He went to a different school. Up in Buffalo. There's not enough in Buffalo. We don't have to name it. But he went up to a school in Buffalo. So it was about a 3-hour drive. This guy would come to the campus like every weekend. And he was convinced that our dorm hall or our dorm room was right across from this girl. He's like, oh, like there's got to be something going on. And there's 6 of us, right? So it's like this guy was basically playing like supermarket sweep, just going in there trying to figure out, like. I'm like, nah, bro. Like nobody's doing anything. Whatever, you're dating her. That's cool. That's fine. Like nobody cares. It's not a big deal. And he would just get drunk and really jealous, and
Yeah.
then just say aggressive things. And I remember like my roommate, who's about God, he at the time he slimmed down. That he was like 6'5", like 270. It made me feel small. And I remember one time like this guy just started popping off. My buddy was like, "Hey, short stack, you got a problem?" And the guy's like, "Oh, you guys are talking to my girl." But he's like, "We could just settle this real quick. Like, she's our friend. It doesn't matter. You're a loser. Get over it." And then the guy's like, "All right, no problem, no problem." I mean, he would have killed him. But
Right.
this guy, he was, you know what? Here's the easiest way to put this. On Facebook, he had a bunch of like, like you're gonna have. I'm not on Facebook anymore, so I don't know if this is true now. But like, you could make albums of photos.
Yeah.
Okay. He had one called Dude, and it was 40 pictures he took of himself. I mean, the dude, he was the war. He had a chin strap.
Yeah.
He's always manicuring his little thin chin strap.
Uh-huh.
A very punchable face, which
Yeah.
ironically, this whole thing ended because he went to a frat party, to my understanding, back at his college, and some dude did not appreciate his commentary and punched him in the face and knocked him right over a deck. And he recovered, but he was incapacitated for a little while. And the girl who was dating him up at our college was like, maybe it's time to end this. I'm like, yeah, you think?
Yeah.
Like, just to
Yeah.
free. I'm surprised he didn't take another 40 pictures on his way to the hospital with his sprained neck, like dude injured, and just snapping pictures. Maybe the EMT could have taken one from a good angle. Oh, the worst dude in the world. I can fix him. No, you can't. He's terrible. I don't know what he ended up doing with his life. I'm going to guess nothing. Strong, like minus 400 on nothing.
Minus 400 on nothing.
Oh,
Speaking of that, we got to take a break. On the other side, we'll talk about something else, I guess. We'll see you soon. Jeez.
Looking for tickets for your next event? Tickets for Less is your #1 source. Save big on every purchase when you use promo code KCSN at ticketsforless.com.
Success in real estate takes more than vision. It takes the right financial partner. When someone takes something rundown and turns it into something great, that's called a comeback story, like Brain Group. They take distressed properties here in KC, completely rework them, and then turn them into valuable real estate. But that kind of work needs the right bank behind it. Enter Emprise Bank. They're not about cookie-cutter loans. They saw Brain Group's vision, backed them, and now they're making big moves in Kansas City real estate. Talk about your partner in possible. Emprise doesn't do one-size-fits-all financing. They invest in potential and back growth. Visit emprisebank.com/KC to learn more. Emprise Bank, member FDIC, equal housing lender.
Are you ready to win real money this March? Struggling to choose which team will pull off an upset? Forget about the teams. All you need to focus on are player stats to rack up big cash prizes with DraftKings Pick 6. And when it comes to the massive payouts, DraftKings dunks over all the competition. Pick Six is available in most states, including Missouri, California, Texas, Georgia, and more. Track your picks for a shot to win huge cash prizes. It's as simple as that. All you have to do is pick which players you think will score, rebound, get assists, and fill up the stat sheet, and you can win. It's that easy. So turn your college basketball knowledge into cash today. New players get $50 in Pick Six credits instantly with just a $5 entry. So download the DraftKings Pick Six app now and use code KCSN. That's code KCSN for new customers to play $5 and get $50 in Pick Six credits. Better payouts, bigger wins, only with Pick Six from DraftKings. The crown is yours. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER. Help is available for problem gambling. Call 888-789-7777 or visit ccpg.org in Connecticut. Must be 18 plus. Age and eligibility restrictions vary by jurisdiction. Pick Six not available everywhere, including New York and Ontario. Void where prohibited, 1 per new customer. Bonus awarded as non-withdrawable Pick Six credits that expire in 14 days. Limited time offer. See terms at pick6.draftkings.com/promo.
You know what I do appreciate this time of the year? I Googled Janaris Robinson, obviously, so I could find his Wikipedia page.
I didn't think you pulled all that out of your ass. Just like, hey, I got this tweet on it.
Off the dome. That was all off the dome. I was like, oh yeah, I knew all that.
Ready to go at a moment's notice in case they sign him.
Right.
Yeah.
I love reading all like the headlines of like when players at this point of the offseason sign. There's like latest Kansas City Chiefs acquisition looks to provide depth on the defensive line.
Yeah.
I don't know. He's probably not making the roster, guys. Like at this point, who knows? I don't know. I just think that's always funny. The spin zones are good. Oh, good. His Instagram name, J-Rob, but he does it in like remember when Cam Newton used to tweet all the time and he would only use like the weird characters? Yeah. That's how
pushing time for that.
That's what his Instagram, J-Rob, and all the special characters. Sounds like he might be a special character as well when it comes down to old J-Rob. But let's talk about some news going around the NFL. The draft is obviously rapidly approaching. We're recording this on the day that Colorado is doing their pro day. Shedeur Sanders is going to throw, but he will not run. Travis Hunter will not also run. I'm going to be really curious to which team drafts Travis Hunter and what they're going to say he's going to play. We talked to Jordan Reed on Fridays, that football show, KCSN draft show, and Jordan Reed has him graded as a corner. He doesn't have him graded as a wide receiver. I think that's interesting. I will be really curious to see which team takes him and if they're even going to let him try to play both ways.
So, like, I think if you draft him, don't you kind of have to at least try to let him do it?
Yeah, no, like I do think like it's the Shohei Ohtani thing, right?
Yeah.
Like, also, by the way, what he does is not harder than what Shohei Ohtani does. That was an asinine comment from him. Like, that was really bad. It's really hard to hit a baseball.
Ohtani does, just like he just rolls out of bed and does it.
Yeah. But I do think that like you got to be like, all right, let's see what you can do on both sides of the ball, because we really haven't seen it since like what, Dion? Was he like the last one to try to actually do both ways?
Yeah, I mean, for any meaningful amount of plays, yeah. Like,
right. Yeah.
I mean, Devin Hester did, right?
Yeah, I guess that's true.
Yeah. He was not exactly a great receiver. Although
he was not. And people want to say he went into the Hall of Fame as wide receiver. I'm like, all right, guys, let's cool the Jets there.
Yeah, that's nice. He went as a returner. So now listen, man. I mean, I think if you're drafting Travis Hunter, he was great at receiver and he was great at corner. Like, you're not going to try to get 2 stars for the price of 1, you know. And if you can't do it, then fine, back off one of the sides of the ball. But like, yeah, to me, you absolutely do it. You take your chances that he can handle it. Look, my gut is that he's going to go to the Browns at 2. That's what I think's happening. I get it. If they don't take Sanders, here comes Kenny Pickett. Like, I don't know, man. Like, you talk to people around the league, you know, down in the owners' meetings, and there's a general feeling that they're not going to take him at 2. And
interesting.
They're not going to take Sanders. Now, it's the draft, okay? Yeah. Take all of this stuff with a grain of salt. anybody out there who's reporting something in some absolute fact, bro, they don't know. Okay.
Yeah.
Nobody knows because half these teams don't know yet. Half these teams are like still evaluating it. But there is a general belief that the Browns are more likely to draft somebody else than to draft Sanders. And so if they draft somebody else, I mean, you're taking Abdul Carter, you have Garrett. Like you're probably taking, that'd be one hell of a combo, but like you're probably taking Shedeur Sanders. If Abdul Carter, if I get drafted by the Browns, I'm retiring. Oh yeah, I'm good. I can't do
Going to the CFL.
Give me a chance. I think Hunter makes a lot of sense for a team in the Browns. Let's face it, how many players do they need? A million of them, right? Like that's what I would do. I talked to one head coach down there off the record who said, look, man, there are two guys in this draft who are big time guys, Hunter and Carter.
Yeah.
And the rest of these dudes, every one of them, they all have warts. And the question is just, are they warts you can live with?
Mm-hmm.
You know, like he was emphatic about that. And I think that's a pretty agreed upon commentary. But yeah, I mean, the Browns at 2, like, I think you take Hunter unless you just feel like Sanders is absolutely the guy. Because the last thing the Browns can afford to do is like another quarterback who it's like in 3 years they got to move off of. You better be right. And if you're not writing a deal of the year, Kenny Pickett, fine. I also think the Browns feel like Kirk Cousins is eventually going to end up in Cleveland.
Interesting.
He's got a history with Stefanski dating back to their time in Minnesota together.
Yep.
And like, are the Falcons really going to keep Kirk Cousins on this team?
They can't.
Are they really going to do that, man? Like, if Kirk Cousins is standing there in training camp, just furious, you know, every picture of Penix, his Cousins just giving him like the double bird from the sidelines. Like, wait, come on, I mean, there's just no reasonable way, in my opinion, to keep Cousins on that team, and I think that's kind of what the Browns are looking at, though.
It is going to be really interesting how that top of the draft does shake out because I do think that Abdul Carter does feel like a pretty solid number 1 pick, but I know there's been some Cam Ward stuff thrown out there as well for what the Titans want to do because like it is interesting because they don't have a quarterback in Tennessee. But is this the year you want to draft a quarterback? I think next year the quarterbacks are better than what this class is. The quarterback class ebbs and flows so much, but then when you like talk about receivers, like you're always gonna have a pretty solid receiver class, just the way that college football is. Like there's gonna be some pretty solid receivers in every draft. Now you might not have like the same top end talent like the Marvin Harrison Juniors and like the other wide receivers that came out in last year's draft. Like that draft class was absurd. Yes. But I do think there's some very solid NFL contributors in this wide receiver draft class. If you want to know more about the wide receiver draft class, go listen to the Friday episode of the KCSN Draft Show. Jordan Reed does a great breakdown of it. Go listen to that. He knows more about the draft than I do. It's his job to know about the draft. But I do think when it comes to Travis Hunter, you got to try. Like you got to try. I keep going back to like the baseball comparison because like that's the only other sport that truly is like two-way, right? Like in basketball, hockey, you're already playing defense. Like you're not playing offense and defense on one side of it. Like I go back to like Shohei Ohtani. Jack Caglione was a guy who was a two-way pitcher. He was a pitcher and a first baseman. For the Florida Gators when they went to the College World Series, Royals drafted him. He's
I had no idea.
Yeah, he's a hitter only now. But it's one of the thoughts that you're like, hey man, if he's good at both, why not let him try to do it? And I think that a team, maybe like the Cleveland Browns, who is in a financial situation that, you know, they probably don't want to be in when it comes to the Deshaun Watson contract. They're like, hey, can we get two guys for the price of one? Yeah, we'll probably try to squeeze as much juice from that as we can. And if they can get it all out on a rookie deal and just wear them to the ground, like we've learned that this sport is a business. And I think
I've learned that, yes.
But this will be a pretty big business move there for a team that does draft Travis Hunter. I do also want to throw another quarterback out there that's getting a lot of buzz. It's Jackson Dart. The Steelers are in an interesting situation. I do think that like it feels like everything's shifting Aaron Rodgers to the Steelers, but Aaron Rodgers is doing the Aaron Rodgers thing where he just is doing his thing, right? For lack of a better term. But the Jackson Dart was in Pittsburgh on Friday for a visit, according to Ian Rappaport. they have the 21st pick in the draft. But look, there's also murmurs that Jackson Dart might go before 21. Like, there's real heat and real steam for Jackson Dart as QB3, and I think that's wild.
Bro, I was talking to somebody, to be clear on this one, a reporter who's well sourced out. We're having a conversation. He was told by some people he think that Jackson Dart might go in the top 12 and might be the second guy off the board.
Wow.
I mean, look, I'm not going to sit here and pretend I've watched every snap of Jackson Dart. Like, I've certainly seen him. I saw him at the Senior Bowl.
Mm-hmm.
Like, is he a first-round pick?
I don't think he is.
I mean, really? Like, I don't know. Like, seriously, is he really first round? I mean, I'm not trying to trash the guy or anything, but I just feel like he's a day 2 prospect based on what he's done. Now, look, I get it. You're a quarterback and you get pushed up the board, and that's fine.
Yeah.
But man, like, I don't know. It feels like like if he was drafted last year, would he have gone ahead of any of those dudes taken in the first round?
Probably not.
No. Like, he's not ahead of Penix.
No.
He's not ahead of any of those guys at the top of the draft. Right? Like, is he ahead of Bo Nix?
I don't think so.
I don't think he is either. And I wasn't the biggest Bo Nix guy in the face of the earth, but like,
No.
No, look, could he go in the first round? Yeah, because that's the nature of this beast. I get it, but man, like, I got to tell you, I don't know. I wouldn't be rushing the card up there at 20 to take, Jackson Dart. It just feels really early. And if I'm Pittsburgh, like, if you love the guy, fine, whatever. But this is the same team that kind of shoehorned Kenny Pickett in there
Yeah.
a couple years ago. That's what happens when you are overly aggressive. Also, speaking of aggressive with the Steelers today, listen, as everybody who knows this show is familiar with the show, love a good source off.
Mm-hmm. Oh.
And this is the rarest of source offs where we got a reporter being lit up by the team's PR director.
Let's go.
Okay. So I hope I'm not mispronouncing this gentleman's name. Mark Caboli.
Caboli. Oh, yeah. I know me some Mark Caboli.
Okay. Yeah. So puts out a tweet saying top 30 visits are important, but you can't read everything into it. Maybe it is to recheck medical or didn't have a chance to meet at the combine. Mike Tomlin is not at the team facility today for Jackson Dart meeting. So there is that. This was in quote tweeted by Burt Loughton, who has been Steelers PR guy forever. Burt's a great guy. Quote tweets it. Sources can confirm your sources are inaccurate. So then Caboli tries this tweet again. New version of the post. Top 30 visits are important, but you can't read everything into it. Maybe it is time to recheck medical or didn't have a chance to meet a combine. And this is where it's different. Instead of saying Mike Tomlin is not a team facility today, he says Mike Tomlin is not expected to be a team facility today. Burt retweets it and quote tweets it again. Sources can confirm your sources are inaccurate. Part 2. Man, Burt Loughton woke up and just chose an aggressive amount of violence today with Mark Caboli, who used to be at The Athletic, now is a correspondent for the Pat McAfee show.
Yeah.
Mark got walked a little bit.
Mark also fell asleep. And
it wasn't good.
If Mark's had a tough week. If you guys haven't seen the clip, he's holding his phone at like an angle so he can get like a good video of Tomlin is what I assume. But Buddy is cashed out. And then when he comes to, when he realizes, he's like, whoa.
What happened here?
And he's like mouth open, fully arm rested on the hand. Like he is slumped over. recording this. And like, look, I understand from my
I
understanding.
understand it.
From my understanding too, those media sessions started like really early in the morning.
7:45 a.m., man. I was there for both of them.
Yeah. So like, look, Mark, I understand where you're coming from there. That's early. I'm not necessarily an early bird myself. But the videos of it legitimately hilarious. I could not relate to a person more in that situation.
Yeah, and it's a Cabaldi, by the way. I was seeing his profile, Mark Cabaldi. But either way, yeah, I mean, Burt Loudon just took him to the cleaners. Burt's like a super nice guy, so that's like, geez, really? Okay,
I
wow.
wonder if Kamali did something to fire up Burt.
Yeah, he fell asleep at the table.
Actually, yeah.
Burt was like, "Oh yeah, I'll wake you up."
Uh-huh.
Boom, chin music.
He got 95 to the dome. Boom.
Right, put it right under your chin, see what happens. Wake up.
Speaking of waking up, we got power rankings to do.
Yeah.
Anything else? Anything else around the league you want to hit on before we hit power rankings?
No, I mean, listen, we talked about all the stuff with the Chiefs playing on Christmas and all the rest of that crap. So
Yeah. NFL also announced like OTA dates. You guys don't give a rat's ass about that. They're going to start on April 21st.
You know what the saddest part is? I cover the NFL for Sports Illustrated on a national level. I didn't even know that till you said that. I had no idea they did that. I've been waiting for those for a month so I could plan out trips to camps. I had no clue that happened.
Let me see when this article posted. Hang on. April 3rd. Oh, it was yesterday at 1 p.m.
April 3rd.
Yeah, no, yesterday. The Chiefs start on April 21st. I think teams start as early as I thought April 7th. The Jets start on the 7th. What do they have to do?
All the time they can get, man.
Patriots start on the 7th. All the good teams are starting on the 21st, from what I can tell.
Well, it's because the if you have a new coach, you have like more time. You start earlier.
That's why. That makes sense.
There you go.
Yep. First day, April 21st. OTA offseason workouts for the Chiefs are May 27th to 29th, June 2nd to 4th, June 10th to 13th. Mandatory minicamp is June 17th to 19th. And then training camp dates will be announced later, at a later date. But those are out. And now you have that information. If you didn't care, you still have it. So
now I got it in front of me. So that's good news.
Yeah.
I appreciate that the Cardinals and the Bengals are just having 2 OTAs, like everybody else is having 3. You know,
Yeah.
Broncos 2, Colts 2, Lions 2. But all right, fair enough. Let's see who we got here. The Chiefs mini camps late, man. They're June 17th to 19th. Almost everybody else is 10th to the 12th. So I'm trying to. So this year I'm doing an East Coast swing for the training camp tour for SI.
Yeah.
But I want to make sure I try to stop by and see all my favorite people in the Midwest. So I'm like, all right, how do I plan all this out? She's doing me a big solid. I can just go out there now for like a day or two.
Yeah.
To make that work. Because you got, let's see, the Vikings. I'm sure everybody's excited to hear all this stuff. The Vikings, the Packers, the Lions, all the same time. 10 through 12. Boy, it looks like I'm doing a quick swing in the NFC North, baby. Just boom, boom, boom. We're gonna swing out. The Bears are having theirs. The Bears are nice enough to get theirs the hell out of the way June 3rd through the 5th.
Oh, shout out to Bears.
Look at that. Now I'm gonna hit the entire Midwest before we even get to July. It's gonna be great. Oh, good. Wow. Good. All right, glad to do it. All right, anywho. All right, let's get to the power rankings now that I'm caught up and as someone who should be like breaking that news, just wasn't even know where it happened. That's great.
That's fine. That's all right. You look.
Oh, I was busy playing pickleball, or I was like face down on my bed.
It gets the best of us, like you can't, every day can't be the best day ever, right? Like some of them got to fall in line in the middle. Like you can't be on top, like you can't be first all the time.
It's like when I was in my flight back from Florida on Tuesday night and the flight had like 9 children on it, like pretty much surrounding me, and God bless them. They're all really good. Right. So I'm like, and I got kids. So like, I'm kind of the point in my life. I'm like, all right, I can handle this, whatever it is.
Yeah.
Kid next to me was watching Bluey. Seems like a sweetheart. I'm like, Bluey's a great show. She's being raised right. So anywho, so I'm sitting there, and meanwhile, I'm listening to my podcast, Bill Simmons just swearing, like the win totals. I'm a total degenerate. Like, all right. So, long story short, there's this guy behind me who throughout the flight, even though I have my headphones in with the volume up, I can hear this guy talking to like everybody who will listen to him about how much he loves his golden doodle. And I'm like, look, bro, I love dogs. I'm a dog lover. Grew up with dogs. But this guy's the kind of guy, like I kind of mentioned this in the other show earlier this week about how much like people treat, like they're like, oh, like I'm a dad because I have a dog. I'm like, no, you're not. You're a dog owner.
Right.
Nothing wrong with that. We hit a significant amount of turbulence at about 10,000 feet coming down. And this guy just shrieks like a child and is like, I've got to get home to my golden doodle. And I was like, all right, you know what? Honest to God, I'm almost rooting for a crash at this point. like I can't live with the fact that I just heard a grown man say that.
If you're calling your dog by its breed, man.
Yeah, what are we doing here? Does that dog not have a name?
Right.
You know, and like
show some respect.
Yeah, that's right. And like, and on top of that, like we're like, you know, in that moment, that guy clearly thought we might be plunging to our death in the Great Lake, right, in Lake Michigan, and that was the big concern in that moment. Like, what will my golden doodle think? Nothing. It's gonna think nothing. It's gonna eat and get some water and not care about your ass as you're firing 8,000 feet deep into the Great Lakes. Okay, like. And this guy, you know, I'm thinking to myself, like, me, there's kids on the plane, all this. Like, this guy's worried about his golden doodle, which, by the way, in case you were wondering, he's 14 years old, as he made abundantly clear 8,000 times. I'm like, by the time we land, you don't even know if that dog's still alive, right? Like, and you're concerned about the golden doodle. About what? So the point is, yes, we do not always have good days. I had a pretty good day until I had to listen to that guy through my headphones for 2 hours, being like, I just can't wait to get home and just comb it. I'm like, okay, that's great. Like there's a 90% chance he might end up being a serial killer.
Golden Doodle's eyes are too human. I don't know if you've looked at a golden doodle, but like they just look too like human.
You know that the guy's the kind of guy he spent like $15,000 on it being a pure breed, right? Because like it has to be a pure. We're like, well, you know, when we had dogs when I was a kid, we went to like Agway. Yeah, you know, it's like that one looks cool. Grab that one, and they're like, how much is it? $10. We, all right. You know, just walked out the door with it, you know, got it some shots and called it a day. And it was like, oh, what kind of dog is that? I don't know. 8 things. Yeah. It's something. It's got the legs of a greyhound and the face of a Dalmatian. You figure it out. You know, I don't know how he got here.
That's the beauty of it.
There's this guy who's over there, like, looking at pictures of his golden doodle, just frantically trying to calm himself down as the fucking plane's going like this. You know, and I'm like, that's great, man. There's like 9 kids under the age of 6 on this plane. And you're over there like, what am I going to do if I don't get home to it? Like, that's it. Priorities. Way to go, bud. The worst people alive.
All right. Let's hit one more break and then we'll close the show out with Power Rankings. We'll be back right after this, Chiefs.
Thanks for listening to KC Sports Network. Make sure you download our new app. Find it on the App Store or Google Play. Just search KC Sports Network. Entertain, educate, inform. KC Sports Network.
Back to wrap up the show with Power Rankings. Matt, it was your turn to pick this week for Power Rankings. I want to read exactly how you framed it. Most painful losses in franchise history.
Yep.
Is what we are going to be doing. I'll let you lead off. I've got a little bit of a caveat for my list. I don't feel like franchise history is fair for me because I've been alive since 1998. So I did in my life.
What, you can't read?
No. How am I supposed to know the pain of what the people felt?
Come on.
I know.
I mean, I wasn't alive when Kennedy got shot, but I know nobody was happy about it. You know, I mean, come on.
That happened in Chiefs. Wait. Never mind, Matt. Go ahead. Give me your number.
Number 5 for the show's brought off air. Okay, number 5. There have been a lot of them in the last 30 years. But there are also some before that. Look, I went back and forth in this. This loss was not especially painful to me because I felt like this team was going nowhere. But I'll go 2013 when they lost to the Colts in a wild card game. Like 38-10, they crapped their pants. Okay, they hadn't won a playoff game in like 20 years at that point, so it was painful. But that team also was like not winning the Super Bowl, so I don't know if they could be like crazy painful, even though it was really embarrassing. Number 5 for me is a wild card meltdown against Indianapolis.
Interesting. Number 5 for me is going to be the game against the Steelers where the Steelers won by kicking off field goals. That was pretty embarrassing. I think embarrassing is a good word for that one. It's just like, wow, you really let a team come into your house and do that too. Was that also the game where Antonio Brown went live on Facebook after it? And now like teams do this all the time. Like they do this all the time now. Like players will go live on Instagram. But like that was a big deal that from the locker room, Antonio Brown went live on Facebook and he got like fined by Mike Tomlin or something like that.
Tomlin was pissed. Yes. That is the game that happened in. That game barely missed my list. That game was infuriating for a million reasons. The other game that's also missing my list, I know people are going to be, how is this not on there? Was the Mariota play to himself?
Oh, that's on mine.
Okay. My reasoning for not putting it on the list was, again, that team sucked. That team was 10-6 going nowhere. Like, I was almost relieved that season was over. So, I remember when he did that, when he did a touchdown pass, I literally just busted out laughing. I was like, this team, like, only the Chiefs. And then Mahomes showed up and everything changed. But no, so for me, number 4 on the list was the 2021 AFC Championship game in Cincinnati. Because that game, in my mind, if they had won that game, they win the Super Bowl that year. They would have beaten the Rams. I'm convinced of that. I'll always be convinced of that. That game, you could say the 2018 AFC title game, and that there's certainly an argument to be made for that. But I guess I look at it like they lost to Brady and Belichick, and it was an all-time game. Like, they should never have lost that game to the Bengals. That game, 21-3 with that quarterback and that coach in your own building, like, you got to win that game. And I felt like they just gave that game away. So I would say that's number 4 for me.
I don't have that one on my list. That's a good call there. Both of those games too that year against Cincinnati kind of followed very similar scripts of like how they like kind of devolved in the second half, and like the Chiefs looked really good in the first half and then like didn't capitalize on points going into halftime and then just kind of all devolved from there. I thought that was really interesting about them too. I got the Colts game here at number 4, just because of the embarrassing factor of it, right? Is kind of what I was factoring in there too. I'm trying to think what year that was. What year was that game?
The wild card game?
Yeah.
2013.
Yeah, so I would have been 15 at the time, and I was very like, oh yeah, Chiefs winning this playoff game when they're up like 38-10, and I was like, oh yeah. And then Andrew Luck had the recovery and the touchdown, and that made me very sad. I remember that was one of the times I was like, wow.
I almost got fired from my newspaper job during that game. I remember they lost, and I just got up. I was like, I'm going to go take a walk. And they're like, all right, cool. Like, they thought I was just going to like take a walk around like the office like complex. I walked for like 2.5 hours. I just walked right out of the building.
That's the first. So like, that's really like the first game that I can remember truly being like heartbroken in. Like I was like fully invested in. And I was like, oh yeah. This team is gonna be like we're going on in the real playoffs now. We're out of the wild. No, and that one was very painful for me. I got Colts at 4. You're number 3, Matt.
Number 3. I'll shout out the old school Chiefs fans with this one. I was also not alive, of course, this game, but 1971 Christmas Day game, longest game ever played. Mm-hmm. They lost to Miami. Miami at that time was a nobody team. The Chiefs were expected to roll them. The Chiefs wasted a game by Ed Podolak where he gained 350 all-purpose yards. I believe remains a record. Ed Podolak, who was a pretty good running back, but like just kind of a run-of-the-mill guy, had an all-time day. And the Chiefs did Chiefs things and just found every conceivable way to lose the game, which was shocking because at the time they were unbelievable. They had won in 69, 71. A lot of those 69 players would tell you that team was even better. And that was it. Like, they didn't go to the playoffs for 15 years after that game. It was the last game at KC Municipal Stadium. And, yeah, it was on Christmas. Mm-hmm. And every time that game comes up, my father still can't talk about it. And it was, 50 years ago now? 53 years ago? Cannot bring it up. Cannot speak about it without just becoming enraged. So, like, that's going to be my dad's own personal version of hell if the Chiefs play on Christmas. Because that'll just come up every year during Christmas. Like, oh, Chiefs, famous Christmas Day game. And my father's just going to take his TV and throw it right through his front window. Yeah. So, yeah, that's number 3 because that game ushered in 20 years of absolute bullshit from the Chiefs.
It's the Ron Swanson meme where he takes his computer and throws it into the dumpster.
Yes.
That's what happened. Number 3 for me, I might be a prisoner of the moment with this one, but I got the Eagles Super Bowl just because of the ramifications of the three-peat, the historical elements of it, and the fact that they just kind of shit their pants and got pantsed on national television. Another embarrassing aspect to this, right? I'm sensing a theme with my list. It's like embarrassing losses is what I chose. It's just they had the chance for the history, didn't necessarily do it, fell flat, and not only did they fall flat, they got pantsed on national television. That's very painful.
You're not wrong. You're not wrong. That game was a shit show.
And I might be a prisoner of the moment for that one. Like I might be like, just because like it was recent, I feel more pain for that one, right? Like that might be very well true, but I feel like it's pretty high up there on the list of just like embarrassing, painful losses for
embarrassing. Yeah, I didn't put it there just because they had won 2 Super Bowls in a row. And I'm like, all right,
I think that's also fair. Like I think like maybe the Bucks one might be a little bit better there. I don't know, but like I feel like
you could go either way. I guess I kind of look at both those games like this because their asses kicked and they deserved to lose. Where I kind of looked at it as games like they should have won that they didn't.
Yeah, fair enough.
The first 2 are both from my childhood. The first 2. So these are really hard to rank because they both were different levels of pain. I think the one I'm going to say is the one most people would have number 1. I'm going with the Lynn Elliott game in 1995. I was 7. I remember watching that game with my father. And I look back now, my dad was the age I am now when that game happened. And, as a kid, you have this like innocence to you. I'm 7 years old. I'm super into it. Like I was into them since like 93 when I was 5. So I'm really into it. I know everything going on, and but I'm optimistic because I haven't been beaten down by this franchise yet. And I remember Lynn Elliott lined up for that last kick with under a minute to go, and I'm like, well, maybe he'll hit this one and they'll tie the game. And my dad didn't even look at me. Like he was just so dead behind the eyes, and he's like, he's not going to make it. And I'm like, well, I mean, maybe he will. He's like, nope, he sucks. He's going to miss it. And of course he missed it. And my dad didn't say anything. He just turned and walked out of the room and went into his bedroom and shut the door and stayed there for a day and a half. He didn't go to work the next day. He just left me with the television on by myself in the living room. And I was like, I don't know. Do I cry? Like, what do I do?
Right.
I remember thinking that game, I was like, that was really disappointing. Like, that sucks. What the hell? Like, how'd they lose this bullshit Colts team? Brutal. But I'll get to number 1 in a minute. But for me, that's number 2.
Number 2 for me is the Mariota pass, just because of, again, another embarrassing aspect of it. I didn't think Tennessee was that good of a football team either. Sucked. And like they weren't very good. And it's just like, oh, this is at home. And then they do that. You have the shit call in there too with the forward progress that also kind of just kind of made that game fall flat a little bit. That one for me was very painful. You're number 1, Matt.
Number 1 for me is a night that I will never forget because I realized this team is going to kill me. It's going to happen moving forward. And for a long time, I was right. It was when they lost Elway in 97 in the divisional round. That game, I was 9. And I just remember sitting there at the end of the game and thinking, like, this team, like, this is just what they are. This is what's going to happen all the time. Like, this is just going to be a Lucy pulling out the football. The Lynn Elliott game was kind of like the first, like, okay, maybe this isn't always going to be just, roses.
Right.
And then that Broncos game happened, and I hated Elway and the Broncos as a kid. And I was like, oh my God, this is it. This is who they are. This is my lot in life, is rooting for this team. And I just remember watching that game and thinking, like, they scored 10 points. Are you serious? That's all they could score. And then Denver went on to win the first of back-to-back Super Bowls while they were just massively cheating the salary cap. And
right.
Oh my God, man. I just vividly remember sitting there just being devastated. They were the 1 seed, they were 13-3, they played Denver and they pissed out their leg and lost. And it was just like, okay, this is what I picked. This is what I actively got myself into. And for the next 20 years, nothing but abject bullshit and pain.
Number one for me is the D Ford game. When D Ford lines up offside. Yeah. That one is pretty tough just because like the interception that obviously happened on that play. If D Ford's not lined up, 5 inches behind the line of scrimmage. Regardless, like I know that sometimes with like a lot of these that I've said, like, well, they won Super Bowls after that.
Well, you didn't know it at the time.
You didn't know at the time. That was the pain that I felt when the pure nirvana that I felt when I saw the interception and was like, oh my gosh, the Chiefs are going to the Super Bowl. And then I saw the flag and it could not have been lower. I could not have went from the highest of high to the lowest of low. And as soon as like you knew the flag was happening, you're like, oh great, Tom Brady's now going to win the Super Bowl. Like, like you knew that, you saw that, you're like, oh great, now Tom Brady is they're not losing this game now that you gave Tom Brady another chance. And I feel like that's probably how a lot of teams feel like now with Patrick Mahomes. But like I that is like the feeling that I remember like just being the most devastated from a Chiefs game.
That is listen. I thought about putting that list together and having that at the top, and I ended up not putting it on there only because I remember watching that game. That was the first year I ever covered the Super Bowl in person.
Oh wow!
And so I was like, oh man, it's gonna be cool if they go, right? Like,
yeah.
But I remember watching that game and like you being crushed when that penalty took place. But it was weird. I walked out of the office and I was working a fan side. I walked out of the office. I was driving home. I called my dad. I said, this is really weird to say this after a game like that. They're finally going to get really good. Like this team, because they had the quarterback.
Yeah.
Like in a weird way, as horrible as that loss was, I just walked away from it being like, this guy's going to win Super Bowls. Like the second half of that game, to score 31 points on Belichick, I just remember very vividly thinking, that sucks. This team's going to finally win.
Yeah.
This guy, nobody's stopping this guy. Which is, and it's a funny thing. It's like a sliding doors thing. I have always argued with people because I've always, the argument like, oh, if they win that game, they have another Super Bowl.
Right.
I will forever argue the best thing that ever happened to that team is they lost that game because it forced them to fire Bob Sutton. And that led them to Steve Spagnuolo. If they win that game, I think they would have won the Super Bowl and they never would have fired him. And they would have doubled down. They would have kept D Ford. They would have kept. You have to. The team would have been iconic forever in Kansas City. They would have to keep all those guys. You can't fire them off of winning the Super Bowl. Like they wouldn't have done it.
Right.
Them losing that game gave them the permission they needed to fire Sutton, to get rid of a bunch of those dudes on defense, to rebuild it. And to me, that game, losing that game, set up their dynasty.
Yeah. And they had a whole
painful as hell. But,
right.
But I always felt like that loss, in a weird way, was the best thing that ever happened to them long term. I also think it kind of filled Mahomes and probably will for the rest of his career.
I also think what's really interesting is both the times the Chiefs didn't go to the Super Bowl, the Rams were there, and both the times I really do think the Chiefs would have beat the Rams. I really think the Chiefs would have beat either of those Rams teams.
Yes, the Niners probably are like, hey, thanks. What, you show them play the damn Rams. But by the way, the little postscript that game.
Yeah.
I remember the next week I had to cover the Pro Bowl. I mean, from not on site or anything, thank God. But I had to watch the Pro Bowl from fan side, and D Ford is in the game. And D Ford lined up in the neutral zone. And I don't think I've ever been madder at a human being in my life than when he did that.
Yeah, that's
Are you kidding me, man? Like what, last week wasn't enough for you? Like you just had to keep pushing. Oh my God. Unbelievable. I'll never forget that. And I remember being like, I never see him play another down in a Chiefs uniform. I'm good. And as it turns out, he didn't.
He's not. And
then Frank Clark came in and was like, I'm not the other 55. One of my favorite Chiefs of all time.
He's incredible. He gets shit on way too much.
Dude, people will never, if they didn't see this dynasty, they'll never realize how important he was to that team.
Yeah.
I will argue. I know people, he didn't deserve the 500. I get all that. That guy was worth his weight in gold because along with Tyrann Mathieu, he completely changed the culture of that team.
Yeah.
That team, they were talented, but they were always just losers. They lost all the time. Mahomes and Kelsey changed the offensive side of the ball.
Mhm.
But defensively, like Chris Jones is still really young. Matthew and Clark, and then eventually Chris Jones, of course, joined them,
Yeah.
were the guys who changed that defense, who brought an attitude, who brought a swagger. The greatest 45 seconds of audio of all time in NFL history is Frank Clark talking to James Palmer after the game when they beat the Titans.
Yeah.
It is one of the most just raw, honest 45 seconds you'll ever see from a professional athlete. It's amazing.
It's very good. And the fact that the Tennessee Titans were in an AFC championship game at that point is also kind of funny to think about as well, because that team also was not very good in an AFC championship game. How did they keep getting there? Derrick Henry. That's how.
Derrick Henry, A.J. Brown, who the Titans like, don't need him.
I forgot. Sometimes I forget he played for the Titans.
Dude, they had like that team. They had a good offensive line. They had Derrick Henry. They had A.J. Brown. They had Corey Davis, who then was good.
Corey Davis, yes.
Who was good. Not great, but good. And they were good defensively, man. Like that team.
It's true.
They had some real guy. And of course, Vrabel was coaching them. Like,
yeah, that offensive line, that was like Lawan's heyday too. Like when Lawan was really good.
They were good.
Yeah.
Like they were.
Yeah.
Like I'm not saying compared to like they're not as good as the Bills teams the Chiefs beat and the Bengals teams, but like
yeah,
that Titans team that year had an identity to them where they were going to run the ball down your throat. They were going to play kick-ass defense. And really, whatever the secret of that game was, the Chiefs just shut Henry down in the second half of the game. Couldn't do anything. Big Mike Pennell, man. Big Mike Pennell plays like Deacon Jones and Merlin Olsen combined in big moments. Just throwing Trent Williams like a rag doll.
Yeah.
I'm getting to the backfield. Like, okay, great. Mike Pennell.
He's the best. He's the best football player ever in situations where he answers the call. He's the true definition of a gamer, man. I tell you what, Mike Pennell, big in that. What was it? The one against the Super Bowl win against the Niners.
Yeah. He's incredible.
Really, just like both of them too. Both of the wins against the Niners. He was great. But yeah, I think that's gonna do it for this week's edition of That Football Show, the Saturday edition of That Football Show. I think we finally did it. Hopefully the NFL will do something to give us something to talk about, because right now it's pretty slow, fellas. It's pretty slow, guys.
Less than 3 weeks to the draft, everybody. Hang in there.
We're getting there. We are getting there. We'll be out there. Well, I'll be out there at Holiday Distillery, Ben Holiday Bottle and Bond Bourbon. Thank you to them. We'll be trying all different kinds of bourbons. I'm sure on the live stream I'll make a wild and ridiculous promise with Ben Holiday Bottle and Bond Bourbon for donations for our charity as well. So make sure you stay locked in there. We'll have some announcements coming soon. But that's going to do it for That Football Show here on a Saturday. For Matt Verderame, I am Tucker Franklin. We will talk to you guys next week on Wednesday. We'll see you then.